Hi, Capricorn. It's Mary Ellen coming to you from Moonrise Cottage for your beautiful December 2017 Soul Tarot reading. For all of you who might be new to the channel, welcome. It's a real pleasure to have you here, and I'm very excited about the addition of your energy to the space, so to speak, is what Spirit is saying. For returning viewers, folks, there is a beautiful message queued up for you today. I'm very excited to jump into it. Spirit has been asking me this month to start with images and give you a chance to just look into the image and sort of breathe that in, take the energy of it in through your heart chakra while I chat a bit about news and announcements. All right, so that image is the beautiful Leah Fail. That is the Stone of Destiny. The place in the beautiful Voyne Valley, the Hill of Tara, where kings were anointed. And as we've been going through the year together, those of you who've been here with me on my own journey know that there has been a lot of discussion about coming to a place within your being of attainment, Spirit is saying, about becoming the king. And so Spirit's talking about the top of the Hill of Tara and what it takes to get there. And so that is the image, in a sense, the notion that Spirit wants to utilize to guide your thought process, and that which will become understood as a theme, in a sense, for the reading. So for anyone that doesn't know, if you want a reading or any kind of a consultation, those words have been coming through, not from me, and I've been saying them. And, you know, there's more to come in 2018. I guess that's the message. I haven't felt ready to speak about it yet. But if you want a consultation of any kind, including some distance healing or some offering that you don't see on the information about the readings and the live stream, etc., just send me an email, let me know, and we'll chat, okay? So if you scroll down below the video to the words Show More and click on that, it's a tab. All the information you need, at least in this moment, about readings and about joining the live stream, signing up for a subscription to the live stream events that are going to be accessible only to the folks who are subscribed as a way of supporting the channel, in a sense. That information is there. The link to make your reservation and send your payment through is there. My email is at the bottom, etc. So I'm hoping to have you with me for the special solstice event. I'm going to do a reading just about the solstice on the 9th of December. That is a Saturday. I have not decided about time. I've been waffling back and forth and trying to figure out what time would be best so that most people across the world, including my viewers and subscribers in India and down under, New Zealand, Australia, etc. There are people in lots of far-flung places that are subscribers to the channel. So I'm trying to figure it out. If you have any suggestions, let me know. Capricorn, for those of you who have been following along, you know you've been on a fantastic journey this year of reset and shift and change. And I'm going to transition over from the image of the Stone of Destiny to the first card in the Spirit Walk, the card that comes through as the guide, if you will, for your journey this month. And the same message coming through. Peer into that. Understand the deepest aspect of that energy. That is the Sacred Mother. It is a Major Arcana card. I'm going to show it to you. This is the beautiful Shaper. And the full name of the card is the Shaper of Growth. So here it is. Look at that. What Spirit's talking about with this card is the concept of the Sacred Mother, who shepherds souls as they come through to this realm, bringing with them the abundance that they will need all the ways, all the items, all the sustenance, Spirit is saying, that will be needed for a sacred journey here in this realm. And that's what Spirit is talking about today, very loudly. So I'm going to do my best to get the message out. In fact, there are 3 different messages that have come through for you, Capricorn, about the intensity of your journey with Pluto in your first house and what this particular year has been about for you as you journey this way. And here in the month of December, as we approach the sacred solstice, building upon the messages that have been coming out, not just all year, but in the last 3 months, from the passage tombs, given the information that was channeled through to me while I was there and in the days since then. Spirit says the image that you are seeing of the basket or a vessel, that is what Spirit wants to speak to you about, the experience of being in the sacred bowl of abundance. So I'm going to toggle through the photos and do my best to wrap into this reading all the things that are attempting to come through. So as you go through the reading, those first 2 images are the things that Spirit wants you to keep in mind as the items that light your way through the month. All right? So, again, for folks who are new, coming underneath the beautiful Sacred Mother, the card that gives spiritual energy to this reading and lights your pathway is the card that indicates your transition. That's what Spirit is saying. Your passage through the year and through all the days since Pluto came into your first house, up until this moment of shift and change, and Spirit wanting to speak to you through me about the nature of that journey. So there's the card. That is the beautiful combat of skill. For those of you who don't know, this is a story about a goddess, actually. And you know, for the first time, I'm being sort of led to talk about the deeper aspects of this card. So the story behind it is a fairy tale about some folks who were in search of water. And 3 people went out, 3 men, warriors, knights, whatever you want to call them. You know, it's a mystical journey to try to find water. Each one of them went in a different direction, and one by one they all came across this woman who is the sacred hag and asked for permission to have access to the water because she was the keeper of the resource. She said, sure, you can have as much water as you want. There's a cost, and you must kiss me in order to have access to the water. So we've been through a long story about this aspect of kissing the hag. And of course, what happens is they reject her, and there's one young man who has the foresight and the vision, Spirit says, to understand the moment. And in that moment, there is no hesitation. There is the application of love and respect and thanks and gratitude for the journey and the willingness to provide the sustenance that is needed. In that moment, this woman transforms. This has been a very transformative journey with the notion of doing the things that are untenable in order to burst through the illusions of your human existence to reach your destination. And side by side, we see 2 images of sacred feminine energy, the power of transformation, the power of mystical journeys, the power of crossing through the barriers that bring us to a new life. So the combat of skill, this beautiful woman, is actually the sacred goddess of sovereignty. And as we talk about the aspects of coming into the place of kings and all the ways in which the kings have shown up in your readings these many months, Spirit says, it is time to understand the blending of yin yang and the necessary, that's interesting, the word that's coming through is attainment of the sacred feminine energy in order to guide and support the process of moving toward the destiny of becoming the king in your own energy set point, meaning being in control of your own destiny without question. in a place of leadership. Having been through this journey, you now enter a place in your own life where you have the power of sacred feminine energy matching that of the sacred kings, the power of the queen of sovereignty. And it's a beautiful message. And I'm very grateful, Capricorn, that this is coming through again in the days of the solstice. And last month, if you haven't seen that reading, go watch. Because last month, Spirit was talking about your movement toward the solstice. Every reading that I've done this month has been about the approach to the passage tomb, to the notion that comes with that metaphor. And last month you came to a place where you were standing in the light of the sun as the protector of Lore. And Spirit says, this is the last illusion for you to burst through, for you to understand yourself in that way, standing in that energy, side by side with the sacred goddess of sovereignty. It's really beautiful. And I'm going to transition over because I want to show you what comes after this movement in this year. And Spirit's chattering endlessly about the vessel. So certainly you understand yourself as a vessel of sacred change. You understand yourself because of your astrological set point as a vessel here on the earth, because of Pluto in your first house, bursting through illusions, utilizing your earth energy, utilizing your astrological set point as the cardinal sign of the earth energy to create the shift and change in order to bring the sovereignty of spiritual knowledge into your own being as you stand in this place, ushering us through this intense shift and change that is happening all across the earth. So Spirit's talking about the vessel, and you'll see as the reading unfolds, in almost every single card there is a notion of the vessel. And one of the things that's coming through is obviously it has everything to do with transformation, and I'll get to these cards on the bottom row in just a moment. Spirit's talking about relating to the card of the protector of Lore, standing in the light of the solstice that is approaching in a couple of weeks now. Understanding yourself in that moment has everything to do with having been euphemistically, metaphorically, so to speak, in the sacred vessel, inside the passage tomb, the place where the cremated remains were taken, celebrated, anointed, so to speak, prayed over, and liberated into this beautiful bowl that sat inside of an altar, awaiting the days of passage that were coming at the solstice when the sun arises and illuminates the tomb in order to bring the energy for the souls that are residing there as they begin to move from this place of rest, having had time to rest their soul and prepare for the next transition in order to be liberated. And if you see that card on the first, on the bottom left, that is the liberator of devotion. And so, and you can see all the notations of vessel. You have been moving through the passage tomb. And again, it's an allegory. So, briefly, I'm going to recount, in case I think I've told you guys this, but in case I haven't, when I went to the Boyne Valley to have my sacred journey, to deepen my own process, I'm also an earth sign, and so I've been going through a lot of shift and change and transition in my own life. Really intense, some of it really hard, but toward my destiny, just like you folks. I sat in the passage tomb at Null. I found out through some local folks there was a way to get the key and go in It was not a public, well, it is a public domain, but you didn't need to go with a group. Most of these places are very controlled, and you couldn't go unless you were with a large group of people and a guide and et cetera, et cetera. This place, all you had to do was find the house of the person who was the guardian that had the key and show up there and give a deposit for the key and then hand over the key, and then you had to drive yourself, and for me, you know, kind of quaking in my boots a little bit, to the tomb. And in I went. I sat down. I put down a blanket. You can see it in the picture. And I began to do the readings. The first thing that happened was Spirit said to me, throw the runes. And I resisted. I did. Finally, I had propped the door open because you can tell how dark it is in there. The moment the runes hit the blanket, the door shut. And there I was, plunged into darkness, plunged into my own transition, finding myself going through the portal and meeting my destiny in that moment. And that's what Spirit wants to speak to you about. So when the readings were done and came out, a gust of wind came by and blew the door open. And that's what I saw. It was a profound moment of shift and change, transformation, and epiphany for me about the meaning and the use of these passage tombs and what the solstice means and what it meant to these folks and the belief they had about what it is to rest after a human journey in a quiet place, preparing your soul for passage into the next realm. And so the tombs were built so that on the day of the solstice, when the days are darkest, the sun arises and the days begin to lengthen. And the energy of that moment brings a certain kind of portal, if you will, on which and through which souls can transition into the next part of their journey, having had their days of rest and preparation. And that's what's been happening, Capricorn. It's a really beautiful tale. And you know, when you hear stories about people who have a near-death experience, this is what we hear about. Suddenly I'm going through a tunnel. And I'm walking toward a light, a brilliant light. And there's no fear. There's only joy and anticipation in that moment. And so Spirit wants you to understand all of those concepts through the experiences that I've had so that I can come here and chatter about it. So here we have this beautiful, again, sacred feminine energy. You know, having spent your year, in a sense, with all the kings and all the transformation, all the journeys you've had, now it's time for the Sacred Mother and the Goddess of Sovereignty to balance that journey and to nourish you. And there's again the Sacred Shaman carrying you across the portal in this time of rebirth and passage, shift and change. In this way, the deepest way possible, as you transition on the day of the solstice. And you know, in case I forget, the solstice comes, that energy and the alignment with the passage tombs happens over 4 or 5 days. The day of the 21st, the day of the actual solstice, is, you know, depending on whether there's cloud cover, whatever, the most intense day. However, it doesn't matter if there's sun, it doesn't matter if there are clouds, the portal opens. There is a passage, and that's why these tombs were built in the way they were, because there wasn't this idea of passing through. Well, let me toggle back and continue this message for you. So next to this beautiful notation of passage, your devotion being liberated. That's a major arcana card. It is the liberator of devotion. So next to that, we see the beautiful vessel of elopement, knowledge, sudden knowledge, arising in a way that is unexpected, filling your being as you make this passage. It's an incredible metaphor. Again, I'm loving the way the message is coming out this day. All right, so there you are in the sacred altar bowl, awaiting for the illumination to come. And you've been here for many days. As you know, not just this year, this has been going on for quite a while. This year, according to the things that are coming through to me, is a time of shift and change, so that you can be at Spirit's saying, in your place of sovereignty, as a king, as a queen, with the yin yang of that energy married together, in order to arise with the knowledge that will come to you and be revealed in this moment of liberation and run away with you. This is a story about shape-shifting and fear, in a sense, but running essentially through a journey that brings a transformation. And so Spirit's chattering about all that you've been through and what's been going on in your life. And so Spirit's talking about this moment, the past moment, and future casting. That's the message that's coming through. All wrapped up. There is a triad of messaging here. I'm going to do my best to get it out, okay? So, coming through this journey, having been pulled through by the weight of Pluto, always working to arise to your surface. That's what Spirit's talking about. And each one of these cards signifies that in a way. Some part of the journey, some part of the passage. If you look at the next card, that is the quest of battle. And Capricorn, you've seen this. This has come through, I think, a couple times. If you're new to the channel, this is a story about being on a journey that feels hopeless, unable to reach the destination. Even though it can be seen and the light begins to arise, there you are, stuck in this boat full of souls, adrift on the ocean of life, unable to find your destination. It's about the quest of battle that you've been on, Spirit says, and about becoming aware of the deepest side of your nature. It's about transition. It's about the effort that a soul makes as it moves through its journey. So there are a couple things coming through about this. One is the compassion that you have gained as you've been through your own journey, and the shift that you have taken into the deepest, watery part of your nature. And you know, in October, your reading came out from Tara, but not from the hilltop. It came from the beautiful holy well, deep underneath the hill of Tara, where the wellspring exists, Spirit says. You have been journeying in order to come in to the deepest, most watery part of your nature as a Capricorn. And the ancient knowledge about Capricorn had to do with the sea god. And so Spirit's talking about the difference between the flow and the firmament. And that is what you, in part, are meant to understand. The deepest part of your nature, and you know, is earth signs. I'm a Virgo, so we want security. We don't like feeling adrift on the ocean. I want hard ground to stand on. I have a job to do, right? That's part of the earth sign thing, right? We have things to achieve. We got things to do. I'm going to push through. I'm going to reach my goal. So we all have different, sort of a different prism of display, if you will, about that notion. And Spirit is pulling you deep as a person can go, to help you become realigned to the place where the watery flow of your deeper knowledge and your deeper ability arises. It's a beautiful tale as you come to the end of the year, approaching the gateway of the solstice and the passage soon. All right, so I'm going to toggle back. I want you to look into that as I cue up the next card about Spirit's talking about the nature of the change, the purpose of the change, and what it has brought to bear for you as a being, as an entity. That is the beautiful Queen of Earth. So in this center line, we see the triple goddess, here to light your pathway, here to meet the kings, the goddess of sovereignty, the goddess of creation, the shaper of growth, the sacred mother. and the beautiful Queen of Art, who is here to help you transform. She sits enthroned in the triple spiral of life, of shift and change. Let me show you the card. Look at that. Capricorn, completely imbued with the sacred energy of change and the highest order of creativity, bringing forth that which your passion desires, inflaming your ability, in a sense, igniting, that's a better word, sorry about that, igniting your ability to create the new life that you are destined for. It's the perfect card. I'm almost giggling because I'm so happy. As an earth sign, I'm happy. I'm happy for you because I've been journeying with you. And it's been an incredibly touching, as you know, it's brought me to tears on a couple of occasions, and I'm kind of feeling it welling up in my heart chakra right now. The ability to create your destiny, sitting in the throne of the triple spiral: birth, life, death, rebirth. And Spirit is talking again about the movement, not just through the triple spiral, but through the passage tombs. At this moment, brings you to this in your life as you come into your ability as a creator, deeply aligned with the watery, mystical side of the sea goat, the nature, the true nature, the deep nature of Capricorn. And we've been talking about sort of getting knocked off your throne and knocked off your place and journeying without end and the pain and the agony and the suffering. There has been a purpose. I've been talking about it all year. I'm so glad to see it show up here in the cards. So the very next thing that comes, and Spirit's saying to greet you, is the beautiful triple goddess. Again, another image of the triple goddess, and another image, please take note, of the images of the cauldron all through this reading. All about your passage, your time. Okay, so what Spirit's saying is your time inside the passage tomb of your existence, coming to these moments of letting go, shift and change, the type of death that you've had to personally endure in order to shift and change your life, knocking you off your place, so to speak. And I've spoken to a lot of Capricorns. Look at that, Capricorn. You have been in this, and again, metaphorically, in the passage tomb. Look at all the notations of vessels and portals and sacred bowls. Even the ship in the bottom right of the reading appears as the vessel for your wandering back into the watery side of your nature, trying to find yourself, trying to find firm ground while being forced to be afloat in a state of transition with all the souls here in this earth, and coming to an understanding. And having come through this incredible journey, now approaching the solstice, again in the sacred, beautiful bowl of healing. That is the sacred cauldron that was found in a bog. It's a real artifact. It does exist. Look at that. Capricorn, those are the images that you've seen in the cards as you've been winding your way through the year with me. And I'm hoping you can see deep into the center of this bowl. Look at the inside corner on the right and see if you can understand the image that's there. That's what Spirit's talking about through me. There's a lot of chatter coming through about being inside the ceremonial bowl, awaiting the moment of shift and change. So this card is about healing. Those are elderflowers, and we've seen the woman of healing. We've seen the king of battle who had a healing. We've seen a lot of notation about healing and about shift and change and evolution as you've come through the year into these sacred initiations you've had two. I'm pretty sure there's been two. Really deep. You've come into this place. So I want to shift back to the photo because I'd like you to take a look at the lines that are developing on the left-hand side. This portal and this bridging and the depth of your existence and the creativity and healing that it brings to you as you approach the solstice in these days. And then the center line having to do with the elopement of knowledge, suddenly coming in to the knowledge of yourself through two fairly intense transitions, bursting through illusions into the realm of the goddess of sovereignty. And the very next card above the sacred hag is an augury. It is a prophecy, again, and we've been talking about that a lot. There it is. Look at that, Capricorn. Another vessel, another sacred ceremonial bowl, out of which comes the sacred energy of abundance and manifestation. You see the sign, the shining city on the left there? That is where that's your destination, right? So here you come to this moment where the sacred wisdom that you have access to is resting in the place where you thought you were lost. Resting on the sacred body of water, abundance, love, tranquility, the ability to come fully into your power to manifest. And again, we see another image of sacred feminine energy, the way in which feminine energy creates. Coming here to balance all the fabulous male energy that we have seen on this journey. It is a time of balance, it is a time of awakening, it is a time of passage. As you stand here in your place, calling forth that which is meant to be. And again, it's the augury of art. And this phase of your journey having been ushered in by the Queen of Art at the bridge card. Through this beautiful sacred healing into immediately the augury, a prophecy about your ability going forward and the types of things that you are going to be experiencing as you come to your place of transition and come into the light. And so next to that, we see the beautiful elopement of skill. And again, right at the center of this reading, we see the combat of skill. So Spirit wants you to look to the bottom left, the Liberator of Devotion, a major arcana card, and look upward diagonally to the right. So that portal being expressed in this way, with the Queen of Sovereignty, who comes as an illusion, also holding access to the sacred bowl of abundance. In that moment, when you come to this augury, the ability to create that which comes to you in a moment in this mystical realm that you will now inhabit. Your firm ground, having to do with the creative flow of your life. That's the message that's coming through. And it's interesting because it's male and female. It's water and it's fire. It's, Spirit's talking about the firmament and the flow. And so that is the nature of the balance that you have come to. The very next card is the elopement of the skill that you have gained. And if you don't know the story of this card, I'm going to be a little bit brief. That's a sacred couple. They had to go through, the female part of this couple had to go through an intense transformation in order to reach her destiny, just as you have been doing. And so Capricorn, the Spirit's talking about that side of it. We've talked about kings all year and sacred initiates and all those things. Today, we're talking about the shift and change of sacred feminine energy. that in fact is happening here on the earth. I haven't had a chance to chatter about that. That's probably coming next year. The rise of the goddess, the bringing forward of sacred feminine energy that you see throughout this reading today. So this young woman, a spell was put on her. She was turned into a fly. And in that moment, she literally lost everything. She lost her identity. She lost her hopes and dreams. She lost her place of being. And she was unseen. And she had to figure out how to attend to this problem, to break through to the other side. And what she did was fly into the mouth of a woman, a fertile place, right? In the ways that are being illustrated. I'm going to toggle back because I want you to see the cards while I'm chattering. In this aspect that is illustrated in this reading, she flew into the mouth of another woman. Spirit saying a spiritual place. I was going to say a fertile place, so both. In that moment, she went through a mystical process and she was reborn. And she came right back to the place where she had been standing. In that moment, she was able to align herself with her sacred lover, and in this reading, meaning the male half of her, Spirit saying entity. They were able to embrace each other, and they ran to the chimney. They were in a great banquet hall. They ran to the fireplace, and they just ascended out of the smoke hole, basically, rising through the chimney. Turning into swans, they flew away. So it's about liberation. It's about rapid progress. It's about reaching a goal. And, again, do you see the light, the golden light? Spirit is chattering about the days of the solstice. When you can join yourself and join with Spirit and have your moment of coming to completion that brings you out into the next realm of your existence, completely transformed. And I'm getting choked up now. It's a beautiful story. And I'm just reminding you, it has nothing to do with soulmates or twin flames or sacred lovers. If you've been here, you know. Not this year. That's not what we're talking about. Spirit really wants us to come together with ourselves, to reach the deepest place in your own self that you can through the journey of this year. Okay? And I, as an earth sign, I've watched a lot of people around me. The earth signs have been affected in a particular way because we are creatures of the firmament. And so the foundation's been knocked out from under us. I left a career to do this. How crazy is that? Seriously, on some level, right? But I've never been happier because now I have claimed myself. That's the process you're going through. And my friends that are Capricorns have been through a very similar process. And for them, it's been going on for years. And, so as a Capricorn, there you go. It's time to arise from the ashes, elope with yourself, bonded together, firm in your energy, and in the flow of this watery knowledge that comes to you through the power of the sacred feminine to balance all the male energy that was needed for your journey. Nothing could be more beautiful to me than that. So, when you see the outcome card, it literally blew my mind. And you know what, Capricorn? Woo! It's just, I couldn't have thought of anything better for you. Honestly, I was so curious about what was going to come out. This is just, okay, just give me a minute. Spirit says, wanting you to know with certain clarity about the place to which you have ascended. The place into which, you have ascended. And it has to do with coming into the very deepest part of your nature. And the way it is, that's funny. Spirit's calling it a transcription. To understand the messages of the past year. If you have time, go look. Especially if you've not been following along, you're new to the channel, you have to go look because it'll blow your mind. So the outcome card for you is coming into literally the deepest part of your image that comes through these cards. And it is more revelation. So I'm going to toggle back for a second. And talk to you a little bit about the card at the very center that indicates you, okay? So that energy is about the Queen of Sovereignty, having sovereign power and ability over your internal nature in the place that you are meant to reside. And for you, Capricorn, you are an earth creature. You're the cardinal sign of the earth creatures. And so there's the outcome card. Look at that. That is the story of a soul going through a long journey. You see the triple spiral right there? And what comes? Spirit's talking about the pineal gland, but clearly that's the crown chakra. Awakening. This intense sacred journey of awakening. Releasing one by one. Facing your demons, facing your dragons. Remember Spirit said something about ride the dragon? Right? So releasing your fears one by one. All right, so Spirit's asking me to chatter a little bit about the initiation ceremony that I had, because you've had two. And I hope you took the opportunity to do a little ceremony for yourself. And if you haven't, now's the time. Go for it. Make it up. It'll come out of you, I promise. When I had my initiation, it was about facing my fears. And my biggest fear is being seen. Doing something like this. Acknowledging my true nature. Okay? Because I hid it. I didn't tell anybody for years. It was really clear to some people, but I didn't say it. I was not ready to access that part of me. That's what Spirit's chattering about. So the ceremony that I had went on for many hours. I had to collect stones. I painted each one of them. I made a huge spiral on top of a hill. And all the people I knew were invited, even people who didn't like me. The thing that frightens me the most, right? Everyone wants to be loved and accepted, whatever. Everybody came. It was time to come out of the closet in a certain way. For the next part of my journey, that's what Spirit's talking about. So I had to arrange the stones. And then when the darkness came, I had to put a little tea light candle on each stone, starting from the center of the spiral. And on at each candle, I had to light the candle and acknowledge out loud one of my fears. And there were probably 100 stones. So by the time I got to the end, I was talking about things that I never told anybody. I was totally evolving into the deeper part of my nature in order to have this journey that brought me to this moment. That's what Spirit's talking about. For you, it's been like that. Facing all the intensity of your fears in order to obliterate them one by one and come into your destiny. And there is your destiny. That, beautiful Capricorn, is the sacred god Cernunnos. I've been waiting all year to talk about this. I'm so happy that this card came out. So that is the challenger of will. And Spirit's talking about the effects of your initiation and your change, clearly, completely sitting in this place of new growth and absolute transformation and change at the time of the solstice, coming from the passage tomb, being illuminated, the true center of your nature. And so Cernunnos was the ancient god in the Celtic lore who was the sacred deity of the forest and the earthly realm. Here we see Cernunnos with a sacred torque in one hand, a notification of the part of his divinity that touches humanity, and a sacred snake in the other hand. He was an antlered god who lived in the woodland, kind of almost like looking like a deer or a stag. But we're talking about Capricorn. This is the image that was available, Spirit says. It's perfect. There you are. The great horned god. I'm going to put a link on the channel. So this beautiful deity was very sacred and was the god of poetic wisdom and balance here of the earthly realm. And that is the place that you have arrived. Whew, I'm getting choked up again. I couldn't think of anything better. the deepest aspect of your nature. And you know, we've been talking about kings all year. Let me hang on. Let me toggle back because I want you to see this in context. Okay, sorry about that. There it is. We've been talking about all of these kings and all of this passage and all of this death and healing and rebirth, the intensity of the cycle that you've been in for so long. And I was trying to imagine, well, what is Spirit going to say this month as we approach the solstice, the close of the year, the approach to 2018? What images are left for Capricorn? And it's the image of all the ways in which you have been in the ceremonial bowl in your own life, in this sacred passage, walking toward the light of your own destiny. And of course, the light of your own destiny has everything to do with the deepest part of your nature, the sovereign deity of the earthly realm. What else would Pluto have to do for you if not bring you to this place? I'm going to put a link on the thread below the video. I'll try to pin it to the top. That doesn't always work, but I'll do my best. So you'll have some information about this beautiful deity. So, you know, like a lot of things that as time went forward and understanding shifted and changed and went through all the transformation as human culture and civilizations rose and fell, Spirit saying, this beautiful deity was sadly, like the sacred swastika at Queen Maeve's chair, the notion that went along with this was transformed into something negative. Spirit saying, just like Hitler took the swastika and turned it into a negative, it's about sacred power and about being married to this idea of shift and change and taking up the energy that is available to a person through the rise of Kundalini. Okay, so Spirit again is talking about the crown chakra and what it is to be rooted to your place and have the rise of this energy through the challenges of your existence in order to release your fears and bring you to the center of your being. So, Capricorn, I've been chatting. So I'm feeling like I want to leave you with the cards. I want to thank you for your beautiful accompaniment all this year. It's been so enriching for me to be accompanied by all the beautiful Capricorns who've been here, patient with my shift and change, coming forward with me, walking through this journey, and just sending me love and encouragement. So I'm sending it right back to you. I will certainly be with you in spirit on the days of the solstice. And I hope you make some time for yourself in those couple of days if you can. If you're able to join the live stream on the 9th, I certainly would love your energy. And I'm going to want to hear some of your wisdom from you. You've been listening to me talk a lot. It's time for you to speak. And so that's part of what that event is going to be. I'll do the reading, and then we're going to have a conversation live. Okay? So I hope you can join us. If you want to sign up for that, click the Show More button, and you'll see all the info that you'll need. Have a wonderful December. In whatever way you celebrate the holidays and the end of the year and the new year coming, I hope you have a wonderful time with all your friends and loved ones. Thanks, Capricorn. I'm going to toggle back and leave you with the image of the cards.